Hey y'all, welcome back. This is Michelle from Michelle's Empty Nest, and can you believe that we are on the last 3 prompts of the Me, Myself, and I project that I have been doing all month long during August. As a reminder, this was started by Heba from my little journal, and you can always find this prompt list on her Pinterest account and print it out for yourself if you would like to join in. So you may notice that the front of my album looks a little different. I've been wanting to do something on the front like a title, and I was trying to make up my mind if I wanted to try stamping directly onto the cover or what I wanted to do. And I was kind of shying away from that because the cover is a little slick, and I didn't really want to have to worry about the inks smushing and messing up on the cover after I have spent so much time on this album. So what I used is something that I have really been enjoying lately, and that is stamping onto fabric. And for the fabric that this piece was used from is this jacquard inkjet fabric sheets, and I get these off of Amazon. I also have some by Avery, but the back of it does not allow me to like cut off the backing and fray the edges. It's got a much more plasticky type backing instead of paper. So for this technique, I like this jacquard brand. So I just stamped it out using Distress Oxide Tattered Rose for the words, and then tea dye for 2021. And I thought those picked up the colors from the notebook fairly well. And then I just take it to my sewing machine. I love to do messy stitching. I like to do a lot of back and forth, especially on my corners. And I had this, it's like a coppery rose gold metallic thread. And so that's what I used. And then I just used some score tape, quite a bit of it, because I want to make sure it's good and stuck, and put it right onto my album. So that will serve as the title on the front. So let's go ahead and get started. I have some inks pulled. I have my last little envelope. Again, it's fairly thin for these last 3 days. And so we'll get started and get this put together. Let's do it.
Okay, I am going to get everything taken out of my envelope and get set up to start on prompt number 29. So this one was the internet or social media made me do it. And I chose the shop box because I kept seeing so many people using it and I was definitely influenced to buy it. So I took my color cue from the actual color on the box that the shop box comes in, and it is almost a dead-on match for Broken China Distress Oxide. So that's what I'm using to stamp out my numbers. And as a reminder again, as in all the other videos, this has been with the Carrie Bradford Outnumbered 2 extra large with the fill and the outline. So I've got those stamped and getting those fussy cut out. And then to do my title, I actually color picked in Photoshop to do the background color, and as you can see, it's like almost perfect with the Broken China. It's a beautiful color of that tealy blue. And I went with a computer generated title because it is getting very difficult to stamp on the top and bottom of this book because there's so much bulk in the middle. Stamping in the middle of the page wouldn't be too hard, but I just decided to go ahead and make it a little easier on myself than trying to do all of that extra stamping. Now that camera paper, I really don't know where it came from. When I see the back of it, it almost reminds me of a Felicity Jane pattern, but I can't remember if there was a camera pattern in there or not, and I didn't write down where it came from. But I picked it because I was talking about the shop box, and so that I thought it kind of went together. And then when I get everything adhered down, there's kind of this awkward space up at the top. And so you're going to see me kind of point at it, and I'm going to go off screen and find something to fill in there in that area. And I had made this to be the size of the page, and there's always usually that little bit to have to trim off. So that's what I'm doing there, just to make it flush, because I don't go quite all the way into the actual seam of the book. So I'm going to get the 29 adhered down with my favorite Kokuyo tape runner. I like that better than the Tombow ones. I haven't had much luck with those, but I really like this tape a lot. So now you see that kind of that blank area. So I go and grab a stamp by the Well for God, and it's called Scribbles and Doodles. And yes, I got some adhesive on my picture. It's like it has to happen every time. So I pulled out my little rubber scrubby thing and tried to get as much of it off as I could. So I'm putting that little check signing pad that helps with the stamping in these books. But like I said, I still have to do a lot of work holding that pad and kind of pressing with my hand from underneath to get a good solid impression. So I pulled out what looks like either just a scribble or a messy stitch, like a zigzag stitch. And I thought about using the scrapbook.com ink, but I went back and grabbed the Distress Oxide and Black Soot instead, since it was going directly to the page. And I couldn't remember what was on the other side, and I didn't want to look. So I knew this wouldn't bleed through as much. So I just put 3 of those up there just to fill in that space. So then I'm going to prompt number 30, which was your go-to hairstyle. So these pictures I had taken about a week ago. I finally, after not going to a real hair salon since March of 2020, just a few days before the initial lockdowns, I went to an actual real salon and got a real haircut and real color on my hair. Not my husband cutting it in the bathroom, not just running by a fantastic, not a, what is it called, a Great Clips. I did that a couple months ago just to get a little bit of a trim, but this was my actual first real haircut, and it feels so much better. So I did the computer title. It says short and sweet with a little spunk and sass, and I just made that collage in Photoshop. And then the color that I used there is Prima Marketing Color Philosophy, and the color is Frosting. And again, I just matched up the background of my title there with the ink color. And there's no blue, there's no pink in my photos there. There's, my blue and white shirt, but I wanted to use pink because it's my favorite color, and I like this color of pink. So that's why I went with it. So I'm going to get the title in place, and then we're going to move on to prompt number 31. So for it, this one was favorite book, and as you know, I can't pick just one, so I'm going with multiple books. And really hard to narrow down this for me because I have read so many good books, but I did choose these 6. And again, with the journaling little block that you see there, I tried to get a color from the Where the Crawdads Sing book to kind of, from the book cover, to tie that together a little bit because these colors were all over the place. And then I'm stamping my numbers with Prize Ribbon, which is the newest Distress Oxide color from Tim Holtz. And it's a beautiful blue, and it happens to match my Outlander book cover almost spot on. So I also used that same blue. I picked it in Photoshop to be my text. So it just looked kind of odd having the black text in there. It seemed to look a little bit more cohesive with the navy in there instead, or not. Well, it's not really a navy, but with the blue in there. So I'm starting off with getting my numbers in place, and then I'm going to put that journaling block, and then I'm going to just spread my pictures out. Not really in order because Outlander's my favorite, but more so I was trying to sort of spread that blue color around and put the heavier, like the Book Thief to me makes more sense on the bottom because it's a heavier color with the black. So I'm just going to speed through this and get all 6 of those book covers placed down, and then I am going to move on with what was the most difficult part of this day, which was the title for this one. I realized I had not really thought it through. I did not create a title in Photoshop for it. And so what I decided to do, because I did not want to try to fuss through stamping out favorite books in alpha stamps. And again, I get some more adhesive on a picture and have to try to get it off. So I'm going to bring in my Citrus Twist Kit stash there and look for something that is going to work for me to stamp on so that I can stamp it off the page and then cut it and put it in place. And you'll see I kind of skip through a chunk here because I've got them separated out. So I skip through all the florals and go more for the geometric section. And I end up finding it's like a kind of a ledger notebook style. The blue is a good color match, as well as there's some little peach lines through there that kind of match in with the journaling block. So I thought that was perfect, and I'm doing some measuring here, and I was thinking about using those Apollo Alphas. I get it on my stamp block, I get it inked up, and then I'm thinking, wait a minute, is this really what I want to do? And then I thought about all of the book stamps that I actually have. I have probably 6 or 8 stamps all about books. So I grabbed one of those, as well as the title builder from Ellie Studio, and the book stamp set that I actually pulled out is from Studio Calico Fresh Start. And I was going to do favorite books in the both in the scripty font. And when I got it on there, I did not like it. I didn't like the way they fit. It doesn't show up here, but the favorite didn't stamp really well. So I actually go and cut another piece of the same little paper, and I decided to try again. So I'm still using that prize ribbon color, and I'm going to stamp books again. And then I realized that there was a little tiny little stamp set on there, a phrase on there that says, "Are my favorite." So I decide to use it, but to washi tape over the word "are," so I can just stamp my favorite really small above books. So that's what I'm going to do. And when I get the washi tape on there, I tried on the paper off on my little stamp off area over there, and it's looking good. And I go to do it on the piece of paper that's going to actually go into my book, and I had forgotten to take the washi off, and you'll see I was laughing and just throwing my little stamp block on the table and just giving up at this point. This was like my 4th try for a title. So I try with my sand eraser. I have never been able to get ink off with that sand eraser. I don't know what it is, but it wouldn't come off. And so I've got that smudge there, and that was me dancing. That's probably why I was messing up so bad. I usually listen to music while I'm working. So I grabbed some some Citrus Twist Kit Puffy Hearts, and there's a peach color that's small enough to fit, and it matches well. That's what I end up putting there. And then I am just going to get that adhered down into the book. And then that is number 31. And this book is done. So I'm going to come back to you here in a minute and close you out.
Okay, that is where we are calling this one done, not only for today, but for this whole entire project. I am so excited that I got this Me, Myself, and I project done in the month of August, that I completed it in the 1 month that I set out to do. I love having so many memories and just little tidbits and facts about me collected here in this one book that has, just so many different textures. There are little interactive pieces throughout. I just try to use kind of a variety of things that I enjoy doing, and I love how it turned out. So for social media made me buy it, the shot box I kept seeing people post about it, and the pictures looked so wonderful. I watched a couple of YouTube videos on it, and then I saw this awesome deal from a Michael's email. I think this whole setup was about the cost or a little less maybe than just the shop box itself with this deal that they had. I'm still learning. It's a bit of a learning curve. It's not just as easy as I thought it was going to be, but that was definitely something that I bought because of social media. For my go-to hairstyle, I definitely like it short, sweet, with a little spunk and sass. I'd love to have long flowing locks of hair, but it's just not the style that my hairstyle is my hair type is very thin, very fine, and it does not do well. It's got some curly frizz to it. So I think for my hair and for my face, I think the short style is much more pleasing. So I'm glad that after over a year and a half of not getting a real haircut, that I was finally able to get to a salon this week and get some cut and color put into my hair. So like how that one turned out. 31 was a favorite book. You all know by now, I cannot choose just one thing. So I went with 6 just because of the size that I wanted the little book covers to be. 6 fit well. So, and technically Outlander is my favorite book, favorite series of all time. I love the show. It is awesome. But I was trying to kind of spread that blue out because that prize ribbon ended up matching really well with the cover of the book. Struggled a bit with how I was going to get the title on there. Went through a few different options and ended up liking the way this turned out. And just by the way, a little extra nugget of knowledge. If you have never read The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks, it is an awesome book. It is nonfiction. It's a woman's real story, her medical story. It's scientific, but it reads like a novel. You don't realize you're reading nonfiction, or at least that's how I felt. But it is a wonderful story, and because of her, so many medical advancements were made. It's about some cells in her body, I'll tell you that much, but it is a wonderful, wonderful book. So I had a hard time narrowing it down, but I tried hard. This is what I came up with. And just a note in my journaling, in 2017, I read 245 books. Now, some of that was audiobooks, so I would be listening just like all day as I was going around the house doing things. But a lot of it was also just regular paper books. But I have definitely not kept that pace up over the last couple of years. I have slacked off, and I need to get back to it. All right, if you're wondering, there is one little page left. So in a Heidi Swap Storyline Chapters album of this full size, there's now a mini size, but for the full size one, you can do the 31 full page spreads and have that one page left over, and then have like a title or an introductory page as well. And I love how this book has turned out. I love the chunk. I love the feel. I love the texture that this title piece gives. I just like mixing kind of the messy stitching with the fact that it's a fancy metallic thread. I like that little bit of mixing things up. And the fact that there are so many little interactive pieces and, just different things that I was able to put into the album. So thanks again to Heba for coming up with this project, and thank you so much for stopping by today. I appreciate it more than you know. If you enjoyed this video, I would love a thumbs up, and please consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. There will be some close-ups at the end, as well as pictures over on Instagram. And I think I may film just a quick flip through, maybe for people who aren't interested in watching all the process videos, or if you just want to catch a quick recap of them, I may just do a quick flip through in the next day or two on that. So I will see you in the next video. Have an awesome day. Bye-bye.